So I just got back from a really intriguing trip to Munich, and I thought I'd share what I saw there with you. I'm a huge fan of entrepreneurialism, and whenever I see that anywhere in the world, it just fascinates me how people are getting ahead, how people are imagining new creations, and how they're all collaborating to make a better world. So, my wife Zabe, who is the CEO of a robotics company in Austin called MakerArm, and I visited Munich on the invitation of Dr. Paul Achleitner and his wonderful wife, Anne-Kristin Achleitner. Now, Paul used to be the chairman of Deutsche Bank, and Anne-Kristin is a professor of business and is also serving on numerous boards in Germany, large company boards. The first thing that we did once we got to Munich was look at the campus of the Munich Technology University, the Technology University of Munich, or TUM as it's called. And the array of work, the breadth of work going on there was just absolutely incredible. One of the things that was incredibly compelling was an incubator called Unternehmertum, which is associated with the university. And this word is a play on German for entrepreneurship, but of course the last three characters are TUM, or the name of the university. Now, Unternehmertum runs a $400 million fund that's used to accelerate companies that come out of the university. And one of the things that we did, the director of the accelerator, Helmut, took us around. And one of the things we did was look at some of the more innovative companies that are being built at this accelerator. And one of the companies that was really incredible to me is a company called Quantum Diamonds. Now, Quantum Diamonds is working on quantum sensing. In other words, using essentially the quantum properties of matter to sense variations in things like the magnetic field. With quantum diamonds, the sensor that they're building is only 1 atom large. Now, if you think about that's just a mind-blowing fact. 1 atom being used as a sensor. As I asked the founder of this company what that technology is capable of, he explained to me that essentially using the quantum properties of matter, this sensor can identify changes, minute changes in the magnetic field. And using those changes, you can also create imagery, essentially magnetic imaging, the kind of thing that you get, for example, in an MRI or an fMRI. But being able to do that with a sensor that's only 1 atom wide means incredible resolution. And the interesting thing to me, of course, in addition to the quantum elements, was the AI elements, because once this data is captured from the sensor, it needs to be interpreted, and AI happens to be a great way to do that, training up a neural network to do things like noise reduction and resolution enhancement. So that was fascinating. Now, we also had dinner with numerous companies and venture capitalists in the Munich area. And a couple of other things that I want to share with you. We ran into a company called ESAR Aerospace. And this is a space company. They're building a space launch vehicle. They came out of the Technical University of Munich. And the founder, Daniel Metzler, incredible guy, he's basically building the SpaceX of Europe. And as he walked me through his vision, one of the things that struck me is that with all the space innovation that's going on in the world, clearly there's an opportunity for each region to build their own space ecosystem, because it ends up being the kind of thing that's also tied with lots of security initiatives that might also trigger the need for self-reliance. So with space, there's an opportunity here to build regional companies. And I think ESAR is really capitalizing on that by essentially becoming the SpaceX of Europe in time. So that was fascinating. Now, some of the technologies that they're using come from another German company that also came out of the Technical University of Munich, a company called Blackwave. Now, Blackwave has been founded by a gentleman by the name of Bastian Behrens. And Bastian, again, one of those classical entrepreneurs that's super focused on what needs to be done. What they're doing is they're essentially focused on additive manufacturing, but instead of what generally comes to mind when you use that word, like 3D printers, they're not doing 3D printers. They're actually doing carbon fiber, but at scale, and being able to very quickly mold carbon fiber and deliver inexpensive parts with really tremendous properties. That's the speciality at Blackwave. Now, they have positioned themselves as a next generation aerospace supplier because one of the things they're doing is they're building standardized products using their process and delivering these standardized products like really high pressure tanks for rocket companies. There's over 180 companies globally now that are either building rockets, flying rockets, or looking to build these. So there's a lot of potential for standardized components that are well tested, that are safe, that go into these vehicles. Rockets have a lot of risk historically, and anything that reduces that risk, particularly that's low cost, quick to build, and has great performance characteristics, is fantastic. So companies like Bastian's are taking space from a really custom industry where every rocket is custom. There's a new kind of risk associated with every rocket, and now morphing it into something that's more productized, that's more homogenized, that's more safe, that's tested at scale. So this I thought was tremendous, and I'm really, really intrigued by both the underlying process as well as the application that Bastian has found for the process. So in addition to meeting a lot of these companies and venture capitalists, by the way, who are really focused on building a very strong ecosystem in Munich, some of these companies that fund the VC funds are huge companies. One of Germany's largest companies is Schwarz, and they have revenue somewhere in the 100+ billion euro range annually. They're funding a VC arm to invest in innovation globally, but also innovation particularly that comes out of Germany and comes out of Munich. So there's a lot of really strong support in terms of capital sources that are available to entrepreneurs in that area. Another thing that was fascinating to me was just sort of this mystique of engineering that sort of just it's in the air when you're walking around in Munich and when you visit many of their museums and many of their buildings that showcase technological innovation. One of these buildings is the BMW Museum. So Zabe and I found some time to go out to that museum, and what we saw was truly remarkable. First of all, the building itself is a marvel of modern architecture. You know, the kind of thing that the Germans are really famous for: modern design, clean lines. There's a really sort of innate kind of Germanness that you get when you visit the BMW Museum. And of course, what's showcased in the museum is tremendous. Car lovers will just be absolutely, I think they'll go gaga over it. In my case, what I found even more interesting than the cars were the engines, because that's where you get to see kind of what goes into the vehicle and what drives the vehicle, the engineering bits. So in that, in addition to lots of motorcycle engines and car engines, obviously, there were also some of the first jet engines. And going back to the 1940s, the Arado jet engine aircraft that the Germans built, the jet engine that went into that aircraft, there's a cross-sectional cutout view of it. And when you look at it, it doesn't seem like something that was built 80 years ago. It's really super impressive. It's finished out amazingly well. And it's the kind of thing that you look at and just marvel, like how far ahead people were, in the Munich area 80 years ago. So that was tremendously impressive to me. Overall, the trip was fascinating, and of course what Zabe and I bring back from that trip are connections and friendships, and it also kind of underscores the importance of reaching out beyond your local entrepreneurial ecosystem, getting to just learn and meet with people without any preconceived notions, without really any sense of, I'm here to get a deal out of it. Of course, there are those types of trips and there are those types of meetings, but at the same time, I think it's really, really important to continue to just meet people with an open mind. You're going to learn a lot, And generally, I think good relationships come out of meetings like these and trips like these. So again, it was fascinating being in Munich again, and I look forward to visiting the city once more. Tremendous place for innovation. I would encourage all entrepreneurs to visit Munich and take a look at the amazing work that's going on there.